Welcome in everybody and welcome back. Today we're in none other than the Boeing 747-400 once again. Happy to announce that we're going to be flying from the very cold north region of Russia, Murmansk airport, and we're going to be taking a short/long haul flight up to none other than Svalbard. About a 2-hour flight estimated and a cruising altitude of 32,000 feet with a total passenger load of 358 people and 33,489 kilograms of fuel, just about estimate it. So, welcome in. I have pre-prepared. We're going today, by the way, in the magnificent Russia Airlines, or Russia Airlines. Russian Airlines, the only livery for the Sparky 747-400 that I could find, and actually probably one of the best liveries in general. They did a tip-top job. The region itself is causing a low FPS, so there may be some buffering, just be aware of that. I'm not sure why. But yeah, the plane, I certainly like this just as much as Air Force One. Those two in the livery we flew on Wednesday to, when we flew on Wednesday in the 747. That was also my favorite livery. I believe the other one was called the Global Super Tanker. So yeah, let's get in. So I've started to align the IRS. I think we need to wait for that unless it's already done. So we should get an IRS alignment alert. Let's just get the correct things on. So 4 minutes, it's not too bad, so that'll give us some time. A, to connect to the ATC network, and B, to load up. So we're going to connect now. We're still November 484 Sierra Bravo, and we're in the 744. Cool, so chart, it's time to get on the charts. Here's the flight plan. Downloaded PDF. We're going to do the weight and balance first. So we're going to do the total payload weight and the fuel weight. Block fuel 33,000. We've almost got enough, but of course we're burning some on the ground. So let's take just slightly more, about 1,000 kg more, and then we'll go up to total payload. And of course we can correspond the required amount to the amount in the flight plan. Remember guys, thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the support, the commentary and the ratings. It means a lot, and the best way to support each episode is just to simply leave a commentary and rating below the video, and that is the best way to tell me you've enjoyed it or not. Entirely up to you what you put. So yeah, frame rate's now kicking back up, maybe just a slight CPU issue. Notice with X-Plane you can barely get 60 FPS consistently without it causing problems, but in other games you can probably get hundreds of FPS and stream at the same time. It won't be an issue. So X-Plane really does use a lot of plane computer resources. Okay, so there's the 0 fuel weight, 220, payload 37300. Just put 373. In this case, put it in manually, so 37,300 kg. It hasn't come up again, so there's a bit of an issue here. This is one of the issues in the game, by the way. Not being able to enter things, so it won't do it. It will only come up with, oh, it has done it, my mistake. So total payload has now been changed, and we've got a total fuel weight. Cool, so weight and balance is done. Now I've done that there, technically if I go back to the menu, I can see the thing I just put in. So 37.3, let's go ahead and just do it on this page. This will do the passengers and the things at the same time. So there we go. If you put it on this page, it'll do it correctly. Route. ENSB. Let's just put number 2 for the flight. And we want to get our route up. And I'll have a look at the departure, enter IS position, so it's already aligned. That's going to save so much more time on this flight. It's a lovely day to be flying as well. Nice and clear, just a little bit chilly at 10 degrees. Enter IRS position. So let's try and find this. Enter IRS. And that should bring the systems alive, which it has, and then back to route. And we've done the flight departure and origin, so we just have to put the rest in, so as you can see on there. I'll keep it on the screen so you can all see it. Route, sorry, my mistake, and then go next. Wonder why I can't change that. Oh, of course, this is the part I always... For some reason I either always forget it or I don't. So the reason why it didn't work is because we haven't put departure and arrival in. So ULMM 1 November. There it is, the ULMM 1 November, and no active runway, that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that again properly. We're going to take into account the flight plan, it's literally right there. I'm going to select that. I'm going to go back here, I'm going to do the same on the arrival. So we know it's going to be runway 09, it's going to be direct, so we don't have any arrival. In this case, runway 10. There seems to be no runway 09 there, which is a shame. It'd be nice to have the correct one. We'll have to do the ILS. I'm not familiar with the airport. I don't know what the transition is. Direct here. AMPIS. There's no AMPIS on it, so we'll leave it. Back to route. I think we can now finally enter it in. Okay, runway 13, so go follow the route down. The discontinuity after ULMM, that's fine, so we go back onto route. I keep going back and forth, so this is pretty normal, I think. Okay, so before we get to the final, the centre fix, we need to put all this other information in, so let's get on with it. EVMOV, direct to Latam. Direct to Ogiver. Not in database, sometimes that's the case on X-Wing 12, has out of date information in there, which always makes it not the most pleasurable experience, I'm not going to lie. Anyway, and then direct to AMPIS. That could be an important waypoint. AMPIS is in there, and then it seems to be centre fixed because we haven't got an arrival. So let's... Yes, I know there's a discontinuity. I'm trying to enter the data into it. So we need to go from the AMPIS to CF10. Somehow in the legs, we'll do that. So you do it in legs like that. Okay, so that should be the flight plan file. The weight and balance is complete. The IRS is aligned. Let's get a few startup things done. So let's get the VORs on the flight directors. We're pretty quick today. We've done it well good. If you just joined, we are Costa Airlines, the only livery for the flight available that suits it. So let's go ahead and get some of these generators on. Hydraulics. Probably should have done that before. The pressure for the engines, hydraulics. Beacon lights and navigation lights. Really there for the APU and the engines. We haven't got the APU on actually, so we need to do that. Get ourselves off ground power. It's very dark as well in this cockpit, isn't it? There we go. Yaw damper. Trim air on. She is making an announcement. All doors are closed. We're ready to go. Just wait for the APU to kick on. When the APU is kicked on, I get the pushback complete.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
All the fuel pumps coming on.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Okay, brilliant. So we have got a small, we haven't got any center stabilizer. I thought we did. That's a shame. We can have the stabilizer one on, but there's nothing in that either. Okay, she's making the announcement for takeoff. We'll just give them a minute to get prepared. We'll get the APU running. So it's running now. That means we're safe to disconnect the ground surfaces. Back to menu, back to ground handling configuration, whatever you want to call it. Ground services and disconnect. You can't actually see them, which is a shame. So we're going to remove the chocks as well. Everything's gone off, of course. Why is that gone off? Is it because we took? Oh, is it because we took the chocks off? This is again a little bit of a bug. I don't like it when things like this happen. Obviously, the chocks coming off should not do that. And even should the ground power when we had the APU running. All the buses are connected. APU was on. I've turned the cockpit noise down today, so we won't have to. GPU won't work, so we won't have to listen to that loud cockpit sound again. So it looks like we are going to have to keep ground services on, just for the time being. Thank God the IRS didn't miss a line there. The APU came on, then it went off. Let's get it back. Let's pre-plan this pushback before I
Ground to
forget.
cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
Okay, we want 1-3, so let's just check on the map. Yeah, super dark in this cockpit today. It's good to be able to use them actually to obviously show the lighting in it. It's done very well, modelling point of view. So, RTO. Okay, we don't want to do that. What's that doing? Transponder, stay on standby, 5607. Okay. AP's taking a while. I mean, I suppose we could just do the engine start now. Welcome in. Oh, welcome in, Finders. Nice to see you here, man. Oh, you're doing very good. We're going to go up to Svalbard today. I know you've probably been waiting for this flight for quite a while. You got the beautiful 747-400. And we're about to get going soon. Just got to do a little bit more on the performance aspects and some ground control stuff. But otherwise, it's looking very, very nice. So cost index today is 86. You can see that here, it's CI cost index. And then the planned optimum flight level there, so 32,000 feet, 33,000 feet. Let's just do what the sim brief says. The sim brief is giving us 32,000. I suspected it would be the case. So flight level 320. Thrust limit, again, maximum. We're going to do a slightly different takeoff today, so if you are new here and you're wondering how the takeoff at this airport, continue to watch. So 4.2. Strong nose down today. I might actually trim it just slightly off from that, so maybe about just below a 5. To really... Oh, actually, then again, the 747's nose will leave it at about 4.5. If you don't do it correctly, the nose will fly into the air too early. Okay, let's try this one more time. I don't think we need the pushback yet. We could do this engine start first, and then let's switch over to the APU once again. Let's disconnect the ground power. Let's just go for an engine start. So inlet valves And it's raining as well. If you've ever flown from Murmansk, aside from really bad thunderstorms and rain, it's some of the best weather you can have. Now I enjoy it when it's like this up here because it's just beautiful, isn't it? It's just a beautiful place. If you actually go back on my channel, you can see some videos from ages ago. Probably some of the first ones I did, and I was doing a taxi and takeoff in a really bad thunderstorm, snowstorm, and it was in the 777, so that's always good to go back and watch. We're going to stick window heat on as well, and some of this anti-ice on. Slightly dark there on the MCP, isn't it? How do we turn the brightness up on that? Let's try... glare shield, there we go. We're on the advanced sim network today, but you can probably guess if you've ever flown on the network, there will never be anybody in the place. We've got some really rough weather actually here. It's going to be a bumpy takeoff, guys. Not too strong of the wind.
Ground to complete. Please show me where you want to go.
Cool, so we're going to have to backtrack the runway. You see there all the condensation coming off the engines.
Release park and brake.
Not just yet, we just want to do an engine start on number 1 and 4 first, and then we'll get pushed back. Let's go for the chucks one more time and the ground handling. Let's hope that this time we can actually push back without it disconnecting. I don't know why it does that. It's not 100% clear, so we'll remove chucks. Remove parking brake. Cool, so 1 and 4 and started successfully. Let's just keep starting them. We don't want to waste too much time. It's only been 10-minute start though, so pretty fast actually for this channel. Welcome in if you're new, and welcome if you're returning, of course.
Starting pushback.
Just doing a slightly diff there on number 2 engine because I've heard some people say just stick the fuel on immediately. If you are a Boeing 747-400 pilot or a 747 pilot, is that the case? I was always under the impression that you would always put it on at 15% N2 minimum.
Just close all cabin doors. All cellular devices must be turned off or switched to airplane mode. All tray tables should be stowed and the chairs should be upright before departure.
A lot quieter in the cockpit. This is brilliant. Let's hopefully have a good death-free flight today. Close a successful engine start on all of them. We've had a successful pushback, and we're going to taxi backtrack runway 13 for departure.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Parking brake is set.
Disconnecting valve. Please stand by.
Nice steep departure there, so we do max bank angle 25 degrees. Let's set local QNH, and I won't set any like minimums decision heights till we arrive. So takeoff data, so let's check what we've got. 20 degree, oh, it requires 20 degrees of flap, so interesting. Let's just do that while he disconnects. Flap 20. So estimated speed there may change actually, because we've entered a different flap setting. So what I'm going to do is go back into the
Now is
FMC.
disconnected, bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, so go back here and then we'll just enter 20. As you can see there, the V references and things have changed. So V2 is now 144, which is not as much as it was before, which is good. So a quicker departure because of the flap setting. And make sure everything's sorted. Let's get the transponder on standby. Let's just turn it on TARA now because we'll be on the runway pretty soon. Let's stick the strobes on. Takes light. Okay. Murmansk traffic November 484 Sierra Bravo. Taxiing to runway 13 via Charlie. We'll backtrack runway 13 for departure. And again, we got the generator warning, so if you turn them on early, it might be a case of just turning them off. So that's the hydraulics, not the generators. These are the generators. It might be a case of just turning them on and off, and that should sort the issue out. As you can see there, the warnings have gone off. Packs, let's get the packs on. Packs on, ABU bleed air off. ABU coming off. And get everything sorted up there. Continuous ignition. Dobo Przelovic, my colonel. Haven't spoke Russian for a while. Privyet, of course. Sounds very foreign actually when you speak it. Looks beautiful though, the Russia Airlines livery. Really brings out the 747's rust there in the flaps. What a cool picture. The sky is magnificent. Okay, we're taking it a rapid 15 knots. We're going to be doing a hard brakes on full throttle departure. So anybody who's not seen that before, or perhaps you did when you did the MD-82 flight, we'll be parking with our brakes at the end, put takeoff thrust, and then we'll release them. It is wet conditions as you can see, so we have to be super careful with the rudder control, and of course we don't want to apply any brakes too harshly in the event of a takeoff rejection. So if we need to fail and abort the takeoff, we will apply minimal braking. Maximum but minimal, if that's making sense to you. So we've got a nice little taxiway here. Let's go ahead and take this. We'll go around to runway 13. Smooth taxiing today, no messing around. And of course, in wet conditions, never taxi above 15 knots, or so they say. In the 747, I imagine it's probably a little bit slower. How about landing lights? Taxi lights off. All the anti-eyes are coming on. Let's advance those throttles and give them an announcement on the radio. Murmansk traffic November 484 Sierra Bravo is departing runway 13 on the Ulma 1 November departure. Climbing direct to flight level 320. Initial altitude has been set as 10,000 feet. We'll wait to see if there's any issues on climb before we continue up to our cruise level. Take up for a set, release park and release the brakes. Hands on throttles. Airspeed alive.
80 knots.
80 knots.
V1.
V1 already? That was quick. Rotate.
Positive rate.
Positive rate, climb, gear up. Nice and bumpy on departure. I'm going to take this manually for now. Thrust reduction, excuse me, 1,000 feet. Let's see that right hand turn there. Very, very steep turn this is. As you can see, we maintain that pitch up. Maintain control of the aircraft through the harsh weather.
Bank angle.
There'll be many more of those warnings if we don't keep our angle within check. Proper IMC now. Murmansk traffic November 484 Sierra Bravo. Climbing flight level 320 on departure. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's continue to change that. We'll assume the co-pilot is doing the MCP for us. Captain's flying this ship right now. What a departure, everybody. I love this kind of flight. You get those interesting departures in harsh weather. So 168 is coming up on the speed. We are trying to maintain the recommended speed. Doing very well to follow that magenta line until we get out of the clouds. And flaps to 10. So you'll notice there I kept the flaps down pretty long to help with that lift that we need to generate through that stormy weather. Just about time for a sip of my coffee then. Okay, are we safe to stick the autopilot on? I don't really want to do it yet. Let's just turn the ignition back to normal. The APU did in fact go off this time, which is good. So we're about on track. Let's go ahead and switch the autopilot on. And it should continue flying. 32,000 feet. Laps to 5. flaps up. Landing lights, takeoff lights off. Window wipers can come off. We're about to break free of the weather right now, and then we'll be clear of this bumpy, turbulent region. As you can see there, we make our way up north to the very cold Svalbard airport. Welcome aboard, everybody. I'm John from CBT. If you enjoyed that departure as much as me, then good. I'm happy for you. So I'm going to step away from the cockpit, and I will be here to answer questions. So I'll just be back in a minute while I get myself a drink. Please sit back and relax. Okay, everybody, I've returned to the cockpit. Things are actually going very smoothly despite the minimal conditions. As you can see, we're only just past 12,000 feet, so I will... and we are about to break out of those conditions. You can see Murmansk is very rocky terrain. There's not really much up here. It's mostly known for being a ship and port region. Murmansk is very well known for the Second World War, of course, and other reasons, which I won't go into now. But it is some of the best scenery on the game, some of the most interesting weather, let's say. Anyway, so it's looking clear. Let's go ahead and stick the seatbelt signs off. Double check the brake is off. Can't neutralise the gear, unfortunately, because I'm using a Honeycomb Throttle Quadrant. Check the overhead panel. So the left side is pretty much how it should be. Same as the fuel, all the anti-ice and the lights. Pressurization, this aircraft is automatic. You'll never need to set it on the Sparky mod. One of those packs was off as well, so let's do that. Can turn high flow on in case it's particularly warm. After cargo heat's going to come off. As you can see, it's not a very long flight at all. It was only meant to be about 2 hours flight time. SimBrief gave me... how long did he give it? It says 1 hour 40 for the airtime. 2 hours and 8 minutes for the total time. So these kind of flights, if you noticed on my channel, 2 hours is sort of the golden mark, if you like, of how we should fly, because 2 hours is perfect. Not necessarily for a 747, but for me personally, I think any more than, I think 4 hours is probably pushing it. I think that's probably as most I can do. And then at the end of this month, I have got a special stream coming up. You'll be able to see the trailer for that soon, so I hope you all look forward to it. Anyway, sit back, relax. Not going to be long until we get there. I've got about 400 nautical miles. I'll speak to you when we get there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard our Boeing 747-400 flight to Svalbard. For the time being, we are still cruising at our cruise altitude of 32,000 feet. So please ask you to remain in your seats for now. We experience some turbulence. For foreseeable future in the flight, we'll probably be asking you to stay in your seats. Remember though, we have service available. Be free to call the attendant. And thank you so much for flying Russia Airlines. Alright everybody, time to check in again. Hope everybody's enjoying the somewhat fairly clear weathered flight. I've noticed there on the FMC, I thought it was time to check in, that we had passed our top of descent. Well, the top of descent is coming up, at which point we'll have to descend. So I think we're already meant to be descending now to 17,000 feet, so we might as well go ahead and start to do that. Seatbelt signs are already on, let's dip them back onto automatic. Let's change our altitude down to 17,000 feet. Because I can't imagine we get to over the course of 50 miles descending 30,000 feet. Doesn't seem too reasonable, to be honest. Let's just follow track and see what happens on the flights. I'm actually really enjoying this. I love the Receiver Airlines livery for the 747 Sparky mod. I also loved the livery I did on Wednesday. The super tanker, the global super tanker. That's a really cool one as well. And that comes with the base mod aircraft, which is totally free, by the way, on the X-Plane forums. So if you're interested in freeware, a 747, you know, the aircraft, then I recommend it. What an incredible view, everybody. Just been enjoying this view outside the window here on the clouds as we skim across the top of the earth. Anyway, we are going to be arriving in Svalbard, excuse me, in 240 miles, so for some reason this particular leg is taking forever. I suspect the wind has something to do with it. There was a strong tailwind, but it seems to have pushed us into a crosswind situation. We need to be going direct to Ampis. Now, before there was a waypoint on the flight plan which wasn't actually in the flight plan, if that makes sense. So, well, it was, La 10 was in there, but it wasn't. I don't know, something was going on with the FMC and the flight plan. As you can see, we're heading to the top of descent and then to Ampis, and the approach I've selected is going to be the Lalad, so that will be coming from the south, and then we'll take a right hand turn onto final. I'll just show you on here. A little bit overwhelmed with information on this screen as well. Some strange things going on there, and then I have no idea. Maybe the airport is causing the computer some problems. Remember, this is a free mod, so it's never going to be 100% perfect, although it's pretty damn close to it. We should also be able to increase our speed. We've lost some fuel and weight, so saying 230. It's actually saying we should descend now. This is giving me contradictory information, so I'll leave it as that. I'm assuming it's going to turn right to Ampis. LNAV off, LNAV on. So they're headed to Ampis. Hopefully it will. No idea why it would choose that. Anyway, let's resume radio silence until we're a bit closer. Yeah, very strange. It should be, instead of at an angle in the wind, it should be doing a north turn, so it shouldn't be going in that direction. It should be going more with the wind. Anyway, back to radio silence. I've now initiated our top descent, rate of 2,000 feet a minute, approximately 15 minutes to 3,000 feet. And also 15 minutes to the airport. Again, the contradictory information down here. So we have Lalad, but we also in the FMC have Ampis. So it seems to have prioritised Lalad, but then you look up here and it has got Ampis there. It's very all over the place. Anyway, thank you for everyone for being here today. This is a lovely relaxing flight. I have to say, it's taking a little bit longer than I thought, but then again, we're not in a rush. It's a long haul in my eyes, and Svalbard is probably going to be worth it. I really hope it's snowing down there. As I say, I've been waiting for the snow in the winter in this game. I can't wait to see it. And the chap before was mentioning Air Force One, because I will fly that again. I'm really looking forward to going back in Air Force One. We'll probably do something similar. I've got a really cool place planned up in the north region of America, North America region. Now 39 is actually pretty good for flight time. I'd be a bit concerned if it's 2 hours. Seatbelt signs are on. Everyone's prepared for landing or descent. No ATC available just yet. I don't think we'll get any at all today, unsurprisingly. So Le 10 direct Ogava, we've done that. Direct to Ampis, direct to the final, i.e. the ILS runway 09er. Do some more checklist things, so let's get our auto brakes onto a 2 today. Just check our overhead panel, anti-ice is looking good. How are we looking on the packs? So packs are also on. Notice we have a few options on these two, normal, A or B. Typically you would put them on normal in my case I would. I don't really change them. There's not too much in here to be concerned fuel wise. We haven't got any build up in the centres. Let's just double check. So as you can see there, we've run out of reserves. 14 and 8. We've still got a good amount there. Environmental control system, so everything's looking pretty good. So built pressure's 38 psi. Hydraulics. The doors. And the gear. Wonder if it'll go to turn back on course at this next waypoint. Seems to be well off from Ampis at the moment. Hoping it will intercept that heading at any moment. Shame there's not a direct button there. You'd have to do it through fix. As you can see, we're meant to be going Ampis down, Lalad, and then we're taking that right hand turn to final. There's a few pink lines there which seem slightly wrong, but we'll deal with it when we're a bit closer. Looks stunning with those inside lights on. Look at that. We're right in the eye of this storm here. Nice orange glow on Russia Airlines as we fly through the canyon of clouds. It's almost like an entirely other world up here. Incredible. Let's go ahead and get a screenshot of that. Double check our landing speed, so 147 was still in there before, it seems to be the case now. Still 147, just bear that in mind. So coming up to 18,000 feet, we should probably start slowing down just a little bit more when we get to 10,000. Plane still not going back on course. We had a really strong wind during this flight. Let's try and do a fix to Lalad. Let's try and do that. Still won't do it. Try that perhaps. That'll. No, still won't do it. Anyway, top of descent is there. Now we're turning it off to the left. Can't be a good thing. Maybe time to take control with the heading bug. Let's use the heading, we'll get back on course that way. I think the L now is getting a bit confused up here. We're so far north. Of course, we're going to slow down. To 250. Feel like we lost control of things in here. The heading bug isn't working either. As you can see there, I got it selected. Let's just change this so you can see what's going on in the copy descriptions. There we go, so you have to click that low one instead. I actually forgot about that, that's surprising. I haven't used it for so long. Oh, of course, that will hold the current heading. And then we'll get back on track and then we'll activate the L nav again when we're a bit closer. and we'll probably maintain my current altitude. About 8,000 feet when we get down to it. Bring out one notch of flaps. Turn our inbound lights on, now we're in the region. Nearly at 10,000 feet, seatbelt signs, auto brakes on number 2. Slowing down at 230 knots, and we'll deploy a couple more degrees of flaps in a moment. You see them on a manual track now to the Lallard waypoint. I'm going to keep doing that until we get there. This will give us a better interception of the approach. And it'll also give me a bit of time to assess the situation because, of course, this is a different kind of region, a different kind of terrain. I believe it's called Longyear. Let's just check the map again. I just saw it on there. So, yeah, Longyear. Svalbard Longyear Tower. That's the runway, and the runway is quite a considerable length. Now, typically a 747 would need approval to land here. It may be able to, it may not. Obviously, the size of airport does dictate that. When it comes to certain airports, certain planes have to get special approval regardless of whether they can land there, or if they can land there, they need to get special approval, like the Citation 10. If you want to land that on a dirt strip, I mean, it would be possible. I wouldn't recommend it, but you need to get special approval from the insurance, and you'd get all the things filled out first, because sometimes they will reject it and they will say it's not suitable to be landed at, and they won't cover you for it. It's not just about the insurance, or it's a safety thing as well. If an aircraft can't land there safely, why would they let them fly there? Although to be fair, I've landed at Courchevel Airport in a Citation X. Right, 2500, that can't be good. Let's just check the area, 2500 feet, so I need to take local QNH. Let's go ahead and do that now. Local QNH 0998. What's the transition level? Let's worry about that in a second. So 0998. I see. So we are slightly low. Let's take 5 degrees of flaps. Svalbard long year traffic, November 484 Sierra Bravo is flight level 3000 feet for the Lallard arrival, ILS runway 09er. Keeping an eye out on this one so we can see it. So there it is, it's really, I'm going to imagine if we get there and there's no scenery. So I didn't actually consider that. I didn't consider that there'd be no scenery. I have downloaded the world scenery. I just really hope the game has it. I should have probably checked. Anyway, there's the airport. It looks real. There's just all this blue stuff, which is not reassuring, of course. We're at 3000 feet. We can't really see much. It's going to be 0. It's going to be 10, but it's actually 09er. There's long year. Let's tune the ADF. Let's tune that just in case. The plane will do it automatically. Now, if we get down and there's no scenery. So first of all, I can't apologise for good laminar research too much, but we'll have to just make do and land on the water, I guess. We'll just make it a little bit fun. Tune the LNAV. Is it going to turn back onto course? No, it's not. Let's maintain heading for now. Engines are making a super strange noise today. Cool. Speed brakes armed. Temperature outside 5 degrees. It's looking fairly clear. It says it's about 2 o'clock clear. I don't know if that's accurate or not. The DME, the ADF just been tuned in, so we can switch that there and you'll see it pick up the ADF. Or we can switch it to the VOR. I think we'll keep it on ADF now, just as a nice little reference. Double check our landing speed, so 147, it has changed. Let's just alter that so we get an accurate one. 30, 146. About 1 knot change. So bear that in mind, 146. Takeoff speed was about that. V2 speed was 144 today. Check the map here. This may be able to give us a more accurate so it is saying there's terrain in the region, but on X-Plane there is nothing. There is no terrain, there's just blue, and blue would usually be the sea. Wind direction's changed to a nice headwind there for landing. Yeah, a little bit concerning. over the fords at the moment. Nothing to be seen here. Of course, there's Greenland. Everybody keep your eye out for scenery. I repeat, keep your eye out for scenery. It's going dark. You will not want to hear the alternate airport name because it's absolutely miles away. Wow, look at that. Stunning. Absolutely stunning views. I'm going to be so sorry. I'm so sorry if we land, if we're getting a bit lower and there's no runway, there's no scenery. That's when you download the World Scenery for X-Plane 12 like I did, and I downloaded every region, including this region, you would expect there to be something here. You would expect there to be scenery without having to go and then buy something else. So if there isn't anything here, I apologise on behalf of Laminar, who should be ashamed of themselves, to be honest, because if you download the world, like I keep saying, you downloaded it, it should include it. You shouldn't have to buy it separately. And this is what simulators and fans have got to deal with on this game. But then the games like Microsoft have, well, they have, let's face it, all the scenery included. You don't have to buy 25 add-ons to get what you want, to get what was supposed to be included with the game. Oh god. Anyway, little rant over. Everyone prepare for a water landing. Minimums, decision, we'll set the decision height as 200 feet. One more try in the LNAV, keeps doing that right and left hand turn. Just give it a few more seconds, sometimes it does go slightly off course before it recorrects itself. Nah. Not quite. Well, we got a carrier here, an aircraft carrier. Oh wow. Who's that? Captain Cristiano Maggi. Oh, this is nice, isn't it? he must have spotted us in the region. Hopefully we don't get shot down by Norwegian Air Force. Right, they're just water. It's literally just water. Potential military flight coming up in the future. Potentially. How cool does that look? I bet they're all thinking we're going to have to send out rescue. Stand by, everybody. We'll have to send out rescue for the aircraft. There's no scenery there, but we'll be ready for them. Svalbard, Norway. I think it's Norway that owns them, yeah, and the Norwegian Air Force. It is lovely. It's a shame that it's taken so long. I generally can't see any scenery. It's just such a shame, isn't it? It's like a 2-hour flight is wasted. Not wasted, but like, you know, just disappointing endings. We don't want that on this channel. Going to super slow though. I want to make sure we get it at least where the airport may be if it's not there. Let's go ahead and just slow down some more to 210. And we'll take 10 degrees of flaps. Okay guys, I think we got our answer now. There's our little 747 coming around for the landing. Here's another 747, so obviously we can land here, but then look around, there is absolutely no scenery. There's buildings here, and there's a car park and other planes and things. And there's lights on the runway, so I guess we can rest assured that there's something there. But why is there no ground, you know, to the area? Why is it water laminar? Why would you do that to people? If you're not going to have world scenery, why tell them that they can download it? Absolutely boggling. Can we see it out the window? Let's check out the window. Co-pilot side. Yeah, I think that's it there, just like sunken down. Okay, let's turn direct to final. I can assure you everybody it does not look like this in real life. The real life one looks beautiful. Cool, so down to about 180. We should really arm the localizer switch, but I don't really know what's going to happen on it, so let's try localizer. Shouldn't disconnect from the heading select just yet. We'll do 60, 20 degrees of flaps. There it is, intercepting that localizer. As you can see there, it's disconnected from the heading bug. Reference speed was 146, wasn't it? So a slow ride down now to landing speed. Eight nautical mile final. Svalbard traffic, this is November 44 Sierra Bravo. 8 nautical mile final, less runway 09er. Of course, the approach switch slightly above the glide slope because it's not managed to intercept it perfectly. For some reason, pitching up again. No, not positive right. What is the aircraft doing? Let's disconnect that. Disconnect the auto throttle. Started pitching up super rapidly then. Full flaps, gear down. No co-pilot. Everyone prepare, so brace, brace, brace. Cutting the fuel supply off now. Co-pilot do the rest of it. Fuel tanks off. There's the runway. Lost complete control of the throttles, of course. Why they lost control of the throttles. Let's keep it on that auto throttle. Let's see if that'll do it. No engine power, of course. Cut it off. Idle.
1,000.
1,000 feet.
Glide slope.
Ah, well, there's no
Glide
terrain.
slope.
We can ignore that.
Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope. Glide slope.
500.
Glide slope. Glide slope.
400.
Glide slope.
300.
Pull
Approaching
up.
minimum.
Glide slope. Pull
200.
up. Glide slope. Pull up. Glide slope.
100.
Pull up. Pull up.
Speed brakes up. 80 knots.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We landed at Svalbard. Successful touch-in, I think. How have we done? Yeah, pretty good actually. We probably shouldn't have had the gear down. Quite a lot of bouncing in this water, isn't there? Look at him, he's like a dolphin. He just wants to be free like a dolphin. Never bounced that much on landing in the water though. Ah, shut up. Okay everyone, well, blame Laminar Research. Because they didn't bother putting the scenery in without, and they didn't tell me either. So, thank you very much for watching. Rasia Airlines thanks you for flying with them, and we hope you enjoyed your flight and you're not swimming in the freezing sea. So, thank Laminar Research and everybody, take care.